In today's show, Tom Dundon has a formal agreement in place to become the new owner of the Portland Trail Blazers. Plus, there is a new notable name in the ownership group. Welcome to Locked On Blazers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Trailblazers, your daily Portland Trailblazers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, world? It's your past first point guard and Trailblazers reporter Mike Richmond. You're listening to another episode of Locked On Blazers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, available wherever you get podcasts and also on YouTube. Thanks for making this show your first listen, coming at you each and every weekday, Monday through Friday. So make it a part of your daily routine, make it your first listen, tell your friends to do the same. Locked On Blazers, your team every day. In today's show, we're talking about the formal agreement finally in place. The Blazers have reached a formal agreement with Tom Dundon to sell the team to Dundon and his ownership group. The Allen estate announced it last Friday. We will get into unpacking all of that. There is a new notable name that is part of the ownership group. There is a line that people will parse in the press release announcing the formal agreement. Plus, I want to close the show talking about kind of some things that I have discussed in recent episodes on this here podcast and how they shift or how maybe to interpret them in light of new ownership. Some things that I did not maybe unpack in previous shows. We will unpack them there. First, let's just get into the announcement. This came across my desk, my digital desk, on September 12th. Here is the full press release from the Allen estate. Let me read it to you. The estate of Paul G. Allen today announced it has entered a formal sale agreement with Tom Dundon for the Portland Trail Blazers NBA franchise. Dundon, owner and CEO of the NHL's Carolina Hurricanes, will be joined by Mark Czar, co-president of Blue Owl Capital, Sheil Tile, the Portland-based founder and CEO of Collective Global, and the Churn family, the family office of the co-founders of Panda Express and Panda Restaurant Group, as owners, who confirmed their intention to keep the team in Portland. Terms of the deal were not disclosed. The transaction is subject to the approval by the Board of Governors. So we kind of knew this, right? It was first reported by The Athletic in late August that the sale price was going to be about $4.25 billion. And the Oregon, you might have had that first. But what the Athletic had first was not the dollar figure, was that there was a purchase agreement that was going to be signed in September with a closing date likely coming. The aim for the closing date was March 31st, 2026. That's what we knew, right? We knew that this was, they were trying to get a formal agreement, names on paper, ink, make it official, make it formal, that this was actually going to happen. And with the closing date, The Athletic has since reported, that's Jason Quick of The Athletic, has since reported that they hope to move up the closing date before March 31st. I bet they do. I bet as soon as you agree to buy this thing, you want to have it be yours as quickly as possible. But it's a large thing you're purchasing, and the Board of Governors have to approve you, and it is always a process that people thought was going to take, as reported here on Locked On Blazers, 9 to 12 months. Even with the agreement now in September, we're talking another 6 maybe before we get to the formal full ownership. Although it could happen a little bit faster. But the most notable thing is not just that it's formal agreement, yay, huzzah. It is this last name, the Churn Family Trust. That is Andrew and Peggy Churn. They are the co-founders of Panda Express, once known as Panda Inn in beautiful Pasadena, California, and now this, the massive global fast casual Amero Chinese chain. This is not notable because, I'm excited about orange chicken and beef and broccoli or a double fried rice combo. But this is notable because these seem to be the wealthiest people involved in the ownership group. There has been some public reporting that, Tom Dundon said in court, I have my net worth is $2 billion. Well, that's not enough to buy a basketball team. But I said here that's the most likely story is that's not how much money he actually has. He has more money that he can kind of tuck away than he's going to say in court, because that's how sort of the world works, and that he has more money than he has shown. But that he wasn't like crazy bonkers. Of course, this dude could buy an NBA team rich. In fact, I've had a couple people on from who work in the Raleigh, work in the, in the Raleigh Durham Triangle area and cover the Hurricanes, right? Some media folks from Hurricane Country, and like their initial response when asked him right here on the show is like, yeah, we didn't maybe know that he had NBA valuation money. It's like, he's rich. This is like hundreds and some millionaire type of person, like this is the uber wealthy, but there's levels to this. And maybe the perception was that Dundon didn't have that kind of money. It became clear to me that the further the Blazers or I should say the Allen estates, because the Blazers will exist under Dundon as well, but the further like the sort of Allen estate got down this path, it was obvious that Dundon had more money than maybe that was like he didn't have like demonstrable wealth in a way that like us and the general public can see, but clearly he's rich enough that they got far enough down the line with this negotiation of sale that it's like, yeah, I'm sure he has been able to present it to the folks that need to know about it. But the Churn family, the Churn estate, the Churn family trust, that's another step up in wealth. The sort of like public reporting on their wealth is always these sites that do it is always a little dubious, but Forbes has the Churn family at somewhere around $7.5 billion. I've seen reporting that the trust has a portfolio of about $4 billion. But if they're in the $7 billion range, yeah, that's the richest, or at least the most like publicly wealthy folks who are involved in the ownership group. And I think that's meaningful because now it's like, yeah, they got the money. No worries. But the question is kind of like, I don't think we'll know this. We'll know this more as it operates than we will before the like sale is, before like Tom Dundon is in charge of the basketball team. But he has to pay 15% to be the controlling owner, somewhere between 15 and 21%. I think it had been previously reported that it was 21, but I believe it's 15% to be the outright owner. Like, so, $700 million, like that's the money he would have to put up to be the guy in charge. The way that these things are too expensive. He's going to have to, if you want to be the person who makes decisions with other people's hundreds of millions and billions of dollars, you're going to have to pay for it. That's how it works. But I feel like this is, now you have a group that seems to be, certainly like demonstrably wealthy enough. I would say that my concern with Dundon wasn't that he wasn't rich. It was that he didn't have the demonstrable, obvious, like basketball team owning rich type of wealth. This group seems to have that. They also have some folks with Oregon ties. As I mentioned, the press release, Shield Tile has relocated here. His wife works in the healthcare system in the Portland area or runs the hospital. Works in the healthcare system. Is like a powerful CEO in the locally. And the Churn family, which is Andrew and Peggy Churn. Peggy graduated from Oregon State in 1970. She had an applied mathematics degree. Now, like their empire, like Panda is still based in California. It started in Pasadena, it's northeast Los Angeles. But like certainly they have like vague ties to the region, right? If you're looking for that. But there is a line in this press release that says, announces who all the people are, and it says, who, quote, confirmed their intention to keep the team in Portland. And I think there is a sort of a cynical read on this. It's like, of course they're saying that. That's what Clay Bennett said before he stole the team to Oklahoma City. Yeah, but I think like the actual read on this, if you're like paying attention to what's happening, is they intend to keep the team here and the if involves a fancy new stadium. Let's talk about that with some reporting from the Oregonian. Join me in that second segment, won't you? First, I want to tell you that today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here. It's week 2, and FanDuel's making sure you're ready for all of your football action with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your first bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So whether you are, live betting games like DK Metcalf to score a first-half touchdown, or you're putting together player props, building same-game parlays, or just going old school and betting spreads and money lines, you'll find all of that action and more on the FanDuel app. It's quick, it's easy. Super simple, and it adds an extra layer to your football watching if you're already watching. So you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Today's show is also brought to you by the good folks over at Doer. They are making my favorite jeans. And comfort this time of year is important. It rained when I woke up this morning. Fall is coming. So I want jeans that are made to move. I want to be able to get out and still do stuff even as the weather changes here in Portland. And Doer's making really stinking comfortable pants to do just that. They got 5 times the stretch of traditional denim, so they feel stretchy without looking stretchy. So I can indeed dodge those raindrops, go about my day, make it to the coffee shop, run around, and still, if I need to, go out to a nice dinner, go out and look presentable out in my public life. The jeans are made with Cool Max that regulates your body temperature and wicks moisture, so it keeps you cool as temperatures change. They're great for any season. You can rock them in the summertime, but as we get into fall, you're still going to be comfortable as well. So it's time to upgrade. I'm talking to you, to the world's most comfortable pants. Get your own Doer jeans today. I know you'll love them. And Doer are opening a new store right here in Portland on Northwest 23rd, opening later September at 820 Northwest 23rd Avenue. This is the new era in denim arriving in Portland. And if you go in store, you can mention my promo code LOCKEDONPortland. You get 15% off, or you can check them out online at shopduer.com/LockedOnPortland for 15% off. That's shopduer.com/LockedOnPortland. All right. So there's that little pesky line that's going to call up my beloved cynics in the press release, is that the ownership group, quote, and has confirmed their intention to keep the team in Portland. But anyone who follows this closely knows what the deal is. They'll keep the team in Portland. They want to keep the team in Portland. I believe that wholeheartedly. I believe the Allen estate does not want to have this sort of legacy of we got the team, we bought them, then we sold them to someone who stole them. Sorry, we love the Northwest, but not that much. Like they don't want that to be sort of the legacy that follows the Allen estate. I believe that wholeheartedly. I don't think this group with Tom Dundon in charge has sort of bad intentions to move the team. I think it is a very simple thing. There needs to be a new stadium, and there needs to be, at a minimum, significant renovations to the Moda Center to make it a state-of-the-art arena, or a new arena altogether. If those happen, there is no flight risk. They'll negotiate a new long-term lease. There'll be a massive real estate development some way, somehow, and everyone will get a slice of the pie and be happy, and the team will be here in perpetuity, right? Dundon has spoken to the mayor, like the mayor, Keith Wilson is the mayor of Portland, and Tina Kotek, the governor, have released a statement. There's there's public political pressure, or maybe momentum to keep the team not only in Portland, but in where they're currently located, and find a solution that works. And that's what this statement reads to me as well. Everybody knows the score of the game. They need a new arena, whether they renovate the existing arena, which I think is the preference here locally, or if this group decides that is not feasible and then they need to build a new arena. Everybody wants it to be here. It's an if. And the Clay Bennett example is who's the guy who bought Oklahoma City and stole the Sonics. He didn't get his arena, right? That's the difference. He said they didn't renovate Key Arena. That's why he left. The sort of parallels end there. When I'm going to say when, because I believe it'll happen, we start building this or significantly renovating the Moda Center, then you'll know that it's not a Sonics parallel. But there's some good reporting from Joe Freeman of the Oregonian, who wrote a story back in the first week of September 4th is when it published in the Oregonian, kind of about the Blazers, and I'm talking about the team, not the Allen State, but the people who work, the business side executives that work for the team have put to already put like sort of the wheels in motion to have, hire a design architecture firm to imagine what a significant renovation to the Rose Quarter, where the stadium is located, and the Moda Center itself would look like. And they have this massive dream to create like, the cars, underground tunnel for the cars on Interstate, with up top being this, pedestrian esplanade and the train there, and like a big atrium outdoor space that you can walk up to, and it's this, it's this wonderful sort of true campus, right? Which is what they need, right? They don't currently have that now. One of the wackest parts about the Moda Center is there's just like nothing to do walking distance. People like, you'll see online, like, where should I go before the game? There's one bar that everyone mentions because there's just not that much around it, which is sort of maybe a failing of the city and a failing of the Allen Estate, but et cetera, et cetera. Like that it will be part of the sort of, it won't just be the arena getting renovated. It will be a whole campus. It'll be a larger development in and around it, where major real estate players can get in on the action and change things. And it will likely involve some private and public money. According to the reporting from the Oregonian, some recent renovations in Toronto and Indianapolis have been in the range of about $350 to $400 million. Things get more expensive. So you can imagine that a full-scale renovation to the Moda Center, which is the oldest arena in the city without a significant oldest arena in the league without significant renovation, and the 7th oldest building in the league period, would be north of $400 million. Now, last summer, there was an agreement in place that would fund public and private financing to do renovations to the arena, because the organization understood that those needed to happen, right? Like, building needs to be renovated. But a full scale, like a full scope renovation, this $400 million, $500, $500 million type of thing, that's a much sort of larger scale project, as I understand it, than was proposed under the previous private-public partnership agreement that was part of the Blazers extending their lease with the city. So they would have to figure out financing. Certainly, it's some public money. I think the question is sort of like how much and what is the appetite here for public money as opposed to other locales. It's just some of it is local politics, right? And the sort of the way people feel about certain things. But there's already some version of an agreement in place to get that happen, to make it happen. But I think the current one would have to be tweaked because it's probably not big enough. There is a world in which, if you're spending $600 million renovating an arena, plus others to renovate the area around it, does just building a new $1 billion facility make more sense because you start from scratch and all of these things? I think there's some hurdles to jump over, and I think the story from Joe Freeman, the Oregonian, kind of explores that. It's like, the Blazers are dreaming big. They have an idea and will have a proposal that could be on Tom Dundon's desk day one, the moment he takes over. But what does Dundon want? What do the discussions with local politicians and the agreement with the city and with the state kind of look like in order to finance it? And then other folks, like the larger real estate plays around it, are they also getting a cut to build things with public money, right? Because right now it's too... I can say this as someone who works in real estate in my real life. It costs too much money for this to have a real return on investment. So public money will have to be part of it for this to appeal to the type of people that are going to build this scale of project. But I think that is I think this announcement just confirms what we already know. New stadium is going to come at some point. That's how this is going to work. It's just what it will look like. And I think the reporting from the Oregonian explores at least some visions of what that might look like. So check that out. It's I'll link it in the episode description for this episode, so you can read it for yourself. Support local journalism, et cetera, et cetera. The other thing I'm curious about new ownership is not player salaries and not paying players. That's kind of baked in. It's everything else. Let's talk about everything else and what ownership influence really looks like at a team level. Join me in that third segment, won't you? First, though, let's talk 5-hour energy. Caffeine just got a flavor upgrade. 5-hour energy shots deliver tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shot packs the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee, plus B vitamins and nutrients, with 0 sugar and 0 crashes. So you can take 5-hour energy wherever you need to go. They are super portable. Big taste, tiny shot. They fit in your pocket if you got big pockets. They fit in your purse. They certainly fit in your backpack or your laptop bag. And so whenever you need a boost, you will have it with you. You will find something that works for you. They got 17 flavors, so many. So whatever you're into, you're going to find something delicious. Plus, they work quickly, and then they don't give you that crash. If you're a coffee drinker, you know sometimes that 2 p.m. cup of coffee can lead to a real crash. 5-hour energy is not going to give you that same. You don't have to worry about crashing later. Okay, enough with boring, flavorless caffeine. Okay, drop that. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5-hour energy shots. Get the favorites you love, or be bold and try something new in store and online at www.5hourenergy.com or on Amazon today. All right, still a pass first point guard. I'm still Mike Richmond. You're still listening to Locked On Blazers. In a show last week, I talked about the Blazers' 2 extension-eligible players this summer, Shaedon Sharpe and Toumani Camara. They are both, Shaedon Sharpe has about 5 weeks left until October 20th, a deadline to agree to a rookie extension, or he'll enter restricted free agency next summer. And Camara is not up against that deadline. He could technically sign his deal anytime into the season. But if he does reach next summer and not become and not reach an agreement with the Blazers by the end of the league year, he too could become a restricted free agent. And the Blazers could choose to sort of, that's probably the most likely path if he doesn't sign an extension. Avoid him becoming an unrestricted free agent the following year. Make it happen. And one thing I didn't mention in that. When in those discussions is restricted free agency has been really rough to players this summer. I guess Josh Giddey got his money, but the Bulls are weird. But it gives a lot of leverage to teams, And even if you look at the sort of landscape next year, as I mentioned in a previous show, there's 5 teams that are projected to have over $40 million in cap space, but they're bad teams. Do players, I guess the money is the money, but is that a strong appeal? You could be like, would you rather get, you can negotiate against the quality of the Charlotte Hornets organization if need be. I was trying to be nice, but I'll just say it. It'll likely be a hard market again for restricted free agents. And one thing I didn't mention in that is we don't really know what the impact of Tom Dundon's ownership would look like on restricted free agents. But I will say this let me say the caveat up front first. The NHL and the NBA are incredibly different ecosystems. They're different sports. They're different. Individual players have very different impacts. It's just a different thing, right? But from what we know about the way Dundon has operated in Carolina and with the Hurricanes is that he has kind of maybe lowballed is maybe too strong a word, but he's been a hard negotiator, right? And there was a whole story in The Athletic how agents hate him because he won't give out top dollar and he's tough to deal with, and he's not the one who's just opening up the checkbook. But the Canes have been successful. They've acquired some some talented, built some talented teams. It is from what I understand of reading about Dundon and talking to people who covered him, he's very analytics driven, and so he doesn't want to overpay. He wants to figure out what your value is and get you at no higher than what is your perceived value is. That could certainly play into the Toumani Camara and Shaedon Sharpe contract negotiations. And obviously with this in place, with an agreement in place, everything is going to end up, Dundon's going to get to make some decisions here before he officially owns the team, right? If there is a contract that is going to kick in next fall when he's in charge, certainly he is going to be have some say and some signing off on it because it'll be his money that actually pays out that deal. So all of the negotiations with Camara and with Sharpe will be part of Dundon's purview, and soon all of it will be part of his purview because it'll just be the freaking dude who owns the team. But during the transitional period, stuff like that absolutely will get his sign off. And from what we know, it's like he feels like someone much more likely to send guys into restricted free agency and say, go find your money. If you can find the money out there, if not, great. But if not, we may lowball you. Or not lowball, that's kind of mean. We may pay you what the market says you're worth, right? Like, and I think, there's maybe something cold-blooded and smart about that, but there is an art to restricted free agency and not creating bad blood, but still getting a deal that everyone feels good with. I'm not actually worried about the contracts, though. I think the contracts are all baked in. Like, I'm not, like, if you're worried about him spending and all this, like, that happens when the team is good. If the team gets good and they're a luxury tax team, then you can start to say, okay, how much is this ownership group willing to spend? But until they're like consistently good, like in the playoffs with, 4 and above in the playoffs a couple years in a row, where it's like, oh yeah, this group is good and should try to sustain this group. Like, that's when you talk about how much are you willing to pay, how much, like, and before that, it's kind of like, just be smart. Don't give up stupid contracts, spend money smart, like, and make it happen. So maybe being the sort of that hard negotiator has some real value. Also, with the way the salary floor works now in the modern NBA with under the new CBA, you can't just like field the cheapest team on earth. Like, salary's kind of baked in. I don't worry about spending in terms of just like paying individual players or building a roster. Like, it's all kind of in the, like, if you're on the come up, if you're on a team that's going from wherever the Blazers are, decent to better, you're just going to, like, everybody's going to pay about the same amount of money. Like, the payrolls are the player payrolls are the same amount of money. What I'm curious with this ownership group, and why I mentioned sort of the demonstrable wealth of Dundon, and how I'm curious about the Churn Family Trust and how much their money, because they seem to be the wealthiest group involved in the ownership portion of this. Like, how much do they own? 2%, 5%, 8%? Like, how much are they in for? Like, is the ancillary spending? Because I think that's where you can cheap out, and ownership can be like, oh, that's weird. It's like, it's the upgrading team facilities, it's the upgrading the practice facility, it's the making sure that when you do, because most of these teams don't own planes, they actually like rent them from Delta or whatever. It's like, do you make sure you get the nicest planes? Do you have these agreements? Like, what is the food like at the facility? If you hear like some New Orleans Pelicans players, they'll say like the food gets better after football season happens because the Bensons stop having to focus on the Saints and can focus more on the Pelicans. So food at the facility literally improves. I saw an interview, I believe, with Etwan Moore talking about this. Like, the food literally gets better as once football season ends. It's the ancillary spending. There are no salary caps on how much you can pay coaches, how big of a front office you can build, how much money you can spend on medical staff, how big of an analytics team you can build. That stuff, that is totally discretionary ancillary spending to improve a team. That is actually, I think, I'm more curious about that stuff than the roster and the salary stuff. I do think the salary stuff will have an impact, and I do think how Dundon operates will be very interesting, and how he operates particularly in this sort of transitional period with Sharp and Kamara, two guys who seem to be part of the plan in the future, and how they fit into it all. That'll be fascinating. But to me, the mark of good ownership is, hire the right people, get out of the way, and that willingness to spend on ancillary stuff, building the best possible staff, spending all of the money to like, you can hire as many folks on the sort of behind the scenes to run a really good basketball team as you want, or you can run these sort of bare bones, old school Maloof Sacramento Kings teams. It's like, why do they only have 4 coaches? What's going on? So like, I think that'll be more interesting to me than like I said, I think the Sharp and Kamara stuff will have an impact, and it'll be an interesting like sort of first interaction with what the new era might look like. But I think the real tell will be beyond that, the ancillary spending. How much money do you spend behind the scenes on stuff? Do coaches constantly leave because they can go get better jobs for more money other places? Same with, health, the strength team, the health and performance team, and all of that. I think that'll be telling. The ancillary spending is much more telling than that like direct player salary spending, which is much more public. That is going to do it for today's show. We'll do 4 more of these the rest of the week. Trying to get a guest this week. We're kind of in the gray area between when the season starts, but we're a couple weeks away, 2 weeks away as you're listening to this from Media Day. So it is getting there. That's what we do 5 days a week, wherever you get podcasts, also on YouTube. Tell your friends about the program. I appreciate you listening. I'll talk to you soon.